over a decade because of two things. Because India did not wanted to open its market for auto sector and liquor sector. So now India has opened market with a control mechanism for auto sector as well as for the liquor sector. And like it's a big step, because overall there is a lot of benefit which India will get from this FTA. But opening this in liquor and auto sector is a big thing. India is a land of Mahatma Gandhi. The Article 47 of Constitution of India says that it is the duty of the state that they should de-incentivize or they should stop consumption of liquor. Now taking a bold step of reducing duty on liquor in the country of Mahatma Gandhi is a big thing. But overall, Indian government saw a big picture that there will be huge benefit. So under this FTA, this is one thing, that more sectors have been opened. So it's a big change. The second big change, the rules of origin. Also, India has tried to control that. Earlier, under all earlier FTAs, the rules of origin, the origin determination in the manufacturing country was considered basis the value addition. Value addition means the value of labor, overhead, profit plus material. Now the origin criteria is value of UK based material vis-a-vis the total material used. If, for example, if the European material is used, not the UK material, then the goods may not qualify for the benefit. So this is one change. The new origin requirement has been introduced. Second, a lot of reliance on the industry, trust-based reliance has been done. Now there will be no requirement to obtain a certificate of origin from the respective government. The exporter in India and exporter in UK, they can self-certify that the goods are originated in India, and that will be relied upon. So these are few like big shift as compared to the older.
Well, on the auto side, a lot of these changes have come in terms of tariffs, quotas as well. There are quotas as to how many ICE we can import, and then those go out over a period of time, because UK is also going to transition into an electric vehicle market. So they are looking at those increasing over a period of time. How do you view that within that paradigm of US asking us to reduce duties on auto, and what does it do for our exports? Vimal just pointed out to a certain extent. If you could elaborate on that point.
Yeah, sure. And if you're okay, I also wanted to add on one more aspect to your earlier question that you asked to Vimal in terms of India's position with the 13 plus FTAs that India has signed. So I'll just reflect on that. See, today we are in a very uncertain environment with the global instability around. The FTA, any FTA, has a very basic fundamental objective, which is to have certainty of trade, certainty of duties, certainty of tariffs. So that is the biggest objective that an FTA aspires to achieve. Now, India has got 13 plus in the bag, and as we know, we are talking to Canada, to the European Union, and also to the US in terms of getting that into the bag. Now, the UK FTA brings in that clear message that India is keen to do business with the world. In fact, it will also help India to improve the ease of doing business, which has been a perennial struggle that we've had in the past. So signing the FTA, taking that leap of faith, as I said, is clearly beneficial for India as well as to the UK. Now, coming to your question on auto, more particularly, whilst I fully agree that with the climate change and sustainability, we are anticipating to see a lot more EVs. We are anticipating to see a lot more hydrogen as part of fuel when it comes to automobiles. Now, coming to the action or outcome of the FTA, we note that there has been a relaxation of import duty on luxury cars. Now, India, as you know, has different topography of consumers. We have the low, middle income, middle and high income, and high income class. The low and middle income perhaps may not even get to luxury class, but the luxury class typically cater to and middle and high. Now, this kind of individual consumer typically have more than one car, in which case the luxury car segment fits in very well. And this announcement comes absolutely on time to ensure that the luxury segment, India will have, Indian consumer will have access to the luxury segment in the UK. And in addition that, they already have the eco car, which anyway they would afford or be able to afford. So on the auto side, I see this to be a good message. We also recognize the fact, Ishan, that traditional foreign auto companies historically have not done very well in terms of their performance in India, and hence India recognizes that. And this, in my view, will be a very good message even to foreign auto players at large, to sort of say clearly that we are over here to change our policies, our incentive mechanisms, to ensure that there is not going to be any loss for overseas manufacturers. In addition to that, one additional element I'd like to mention, we're all talking and hearing about imports, trades between the two countries. I think what also is a side effect of this is investment. The capital inflow into the UK from India and into India from UK will certainly increase as a result of these trade flows. Because if somebody were to manufacture a car in India and also import the CKT, then you need a manufacturing facility. You will have capital infusion into India. So this will also lead to a lot more FDI, as I see, from the UK, which anyway is pretty high in terms of our FDI levels. But this will take it to the next level.
Well, let me ask you a counter on that. Would it not have been better to include the investment part of the thing also within this FTA, also within this economic partnership paradigm? Because we're not calling it an FTA, we are calling it an economic partnership. Shouldn't the investment part have come into this like it did in earlier FTA agreement? Also has that investment aspect to it, or is that delay a problem now that the euphoria will continue over these things?
See, typically an FTA, Ishan, doesn't talk about investment, or even an economic agreement doesn't talk about investment, because investment then can come in through different manufacturing hubs. So if a company has a hub in Asia Pacific in some other country, then FDI technically comes in from that country. So that is the reason why investment destination or the origin is not really married with the trade barrier. But ultimately, if you have a UK headquartered company investing in India, then certainly, it is for the purposes of trade. So that's how it typically works, Ishan.
So, another aspect that I wanted to ask you about, we are talking about goods on one side. This also is very instrumental in getting services within that paradigm as well. And it's in terms of what services we are offered, in terms of what we are offered. Uh, so, how does that change affect, and can that be the great template that everybody looks at? Because India is a very service focused economy.
So I'll break services into two parts. One is the professional, and the other is the non-professional. The non-professional will clearly be a consequence of the increased amount of trade. So the import-export numbers that you shared will clearly increase more employment and more sort of non-professional revenue generation that will happen. On the professional side, we know that, for if you take the accountancy profession, each of the regulatory bodies have realized and recognized the qualifications of the other body. So there is clearly history behind going together. And hence, this will certainly increase that element. So if you have an engineer or an accountant or even a management professional, I think this will certainly lead to more services, higher amount of penetration, and overall efficiency. Because what companies do is they will start trading, they start investing, but the next thing will be bring in more efficiency. And this is where the professional and the services industries will come into play.
You're on mute, Ishan.
Let me come to you on another aspect, Vimal. And you were talking about rules of origin, and you were talking about how this certificate of origin aspect, right? How does that change compared to previous FTAs? What's the big thing here? And The other aspect that I wanted to talk to you about was general procurement rules. How do those benefit India? But first, on the rules of origin part.
Uh, Ishan, or rules of origin, as I mentioned, two things predominantly are changing. The first, earlier there was a requirement that the exporter need to go to Ministry of Commerce of that country, show that how they are fulfilling the rules of origin requirement, which typically is a 35% value addition plus a shift in tariff. If imported goods are used from other country like China, then there is a shift in the tariff, means the substantial manufacturing activity has been undertaken. So they were supposed to go to the Ministry of Commerce and then get certificate of origin. Now, as all across trust-based compliance is going on, so now there will not be a requirement for going to the Ministry of Commerce either by Indian exporter or by the US or by the UK exporter. So they can self-certify. There is a defined format. They can self-certify that the value addition and the tariff change has happened, and that will be accepted by the other party in the agreement. Like if the UK exporter is giving a declaration, that will be accepted by the Indian government while giving the FTA benefit. So this is the one shift. The second shift, which is good for India, like Indian government has applied a lot of mind. They have not blindly like reduced the duty on 90% of the tariff line. Even the criteria also has been changed this time. This time there is a qualifying value criteria, meaning thereby the value addition of goods in UK should be more than 35%, 45%. For each of the tariff, this limit has been mentioned. Normally, it is 35%. This should be the goods of UK, and total goods used for manufacturing the product should be more than 35%. So, criteria is tightened as compared to the other FTAs. So these are a couple of big changes as compared to the other FTAs in rules of origin and certificate of origin, which we have been observing. Uh, on the
Just
procurement,
a question on this. Just a question. I'm just stopping you on that part. Uh, Transshipment is a big concern with US letters. If you read the text of it, he's talking about how your tariffs double in transshipment and all. What lessons can India have while negotiating with the US on a larger trade deal? We're going to have two trade deals, I'm sure. One is going to be a more early agreement and then a larger trade deal by October. That is what was announced. So how will that change from this, and what are the lessons that India can learn from that part?
so there is a lot of learn like this FTA will almost become a benchmark whenever now India is going to deal with US or with the EU for the larger thing. So the transshipment provisions are always there. Now also the third country invoicing under this FTA is allowed. So those things are like available. But some learnings India can have from this FTA is that like we need to have a focused approach as we are having in this FTA also we have used. We need to have a focused FTA. We should not grant benefit or concession like all across the line, not a sweeping benefit. That is what India is doing in this FTA also.
Let me come back to you on the procurement aspects of things. How does this change the general procurement market? We had a similar agreement with the UAE, right, where we could sell in the UAE public market and they could come into the GEM. We don't have many numbers from that, but how does this change, this general procurement change it, especially with NHS being able to procure from India as well, which would be a big thing, I believe, for Indian medical manufacturers at least.
Yeah, so now like all these companies will be able to participate in government procurement also. So this is a big opportunity for the UK companies to do investment in India because a big market is opening for them. So they can like bid for all these things.
Anil, let me ask you on this aspect a bit of a circulated question. With the L1 system, can UK companies actually compete in India given how rules are laid out? Two, what advantages would Indian MSMEs have going into UK within this general procurement rules?
No, great question, Ishan. I think two points to this. One is if you look at, as I mentioned earlier, goods like textiles, leather goods, these are largely expensive. So MSMEs will stand to gain. On your question on procurement, I think India has always been a very favorite destination for sourcing and largely for apparel textiles. There is clear demand. It's only that there are certain regulatory challenges, also, as I said, business and uncertainty that was stopping a lot of these UK large retailers to source goods from India. I believe this is going to be uh, the gateway for India to open up its sourcing abilities and launch them to the larger market in the UK and for the UK players. So I believe the benefits, cost advantage is just one of the benefits, efficiency, quality, and then you have, we don't have any language barriers. We pretty much are, aligned in terms of our laws and also the intention and the stability. I think all of this will lead to procurement and sourcing uh, certainly getting a benefit out of this particular announcement, as I see.
On the L1 tendering side, can UK companies really come and take advantage of the Indian procurement system via GEM or NPP portals, given that there is a L1 system here in place? Or do you see that changing as well over a period of time?
So, Ishan, like this procurement system, as like there are different criterias. So it could be a opportunity for government of India and the UK businesses. If like you are doing manufacturing in India, then maybe they will look for doing the manufacturing in India, setting up a unit, maybe starting with the assembly to meet those procurement requirements. So in a way, this will open the investment opportunity for India also, and we'll see in the coming time a lot of companies setting up their facilities in India.
And coming to you, this agreement did not talk about the UK CBAM, much talked about thing, carbon border adjustment mechanism, and EU has a CBAM in place as well. Uh, do you think now India needs to change that paradigm as well, or Western countries need to change that paradigm within these trade agreements on how this carbon border adjustment mechanism or carbon credit markets are used, especially when we are going for net zero targets? Most of us, at least, are.
Well, I believe so. The answer to your question is, I think yes, it should be addressed. This is one piece that I feel should have been captured somewhere in the FTA. Again, we'll have to see the detail if it is still captured. But India is committed to net zero. I think we are also looking at, as we spoke, EV, hydrogen, and other fuels. I think we need to take the first step is, significant incentives available for carbon credits. They are there, but they're not very popular. I think we need to sort of close that part internally, and then we will be in a much better place to sort of take this. Now, the way these agreements work is they work in phases, as we know, and there is enough flexibility available for the countries to come to the table to sort of add on as we move forward. But look, as a first step, good, very good. I think as we evolve, we see more movement towards carbon credits in net zero and more regulatory, changes in India. We'll certainly put that across the table and have a deal there as well. I believe so.
Well, what's your take on this CBAM and other rules, especially affecting the steel sector exports from India to EU and both the UK? Do you think these need to be factored in? And if yes, how? What's the best possible manner to go ahead with it?
So, Ishan, I agree with Daniel. Like India need to do a lot of work on this sector, carbon credits, how like we can incentivize Indian companies in this space, and then like we need to deal with these developed countries. So always like the developing countries remain on the downside of it. So we need to do like in-house strategies, how we can help, how we can be carbon neutral more, and like then how we can deal with these 12 countries.
So as I understand it, as we've talked to our experts, one, it's a big opportunity for India and it sets a template for other countries to come and do FTAs as well, especially as Anil said, in a global environment which is increasingly becoming uncertain. From Vimal's point of view, the rules of origin rules do place a new paradigm for India, which it can help evolve with other countries as well. On the procurement part, there's a $114 billion market that this opens up for India in the UK, and about the same market that opens up for UK companies in India. The takeaway from this FTA, more than anything else, is consumers benefit. And it's a new design that India is showing to the world that it's not just a closed place to do business, it's an open place which is doing ease of doing business and which is ready to go into sectors like Vimal said in auto and liquor and other sectors as the market evolves. Thank you for watching. It was great to have both of you, Anil, Vimal, for coming on the show. I love to have you again. Thank you again. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you for watching. You were watching Beyond Averages. We'll be back next week with more news and analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Shan. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.